first one this week is going to come from Hector, and Hector is in College Station, Texas.
Hey, Alan. This is Hector from College Station, Texas. Gig 'em. Hey, I got a serious question here. I know that you've been pounding on a lot of rain, and people who say they've had a lot of rain and they haven't really had a lot of rain. But we've had a lot of rain. Last week, on one day, we had probably 6 inches of rain, 5 inches, depending on what part of town you were at. And that causes issues for me because I have a commercial grade riding lawnmower to cut my 1 acre. The issue being is that it's too heavy if it's wet and it leaves ruts and it's nasty, and so I got to let it go longer than my 2 week times per week. I don't know what else to do. I don't really want to sell my commercial lawnmower because it makes my cutting really enjoyable. I can cut my entire acre in about 35 minutes, and that's me taking my time. But at the same time, I'm having to let my grass go really, really long. And also, it can cut grass wet. It doesn't clump because it's a commercial grade. However, this $12,000 mower that I got, it's just too heavy. It's a 61-inch deck, and I don't want to buy another garden tractor. Been there, done that. And so I don't really know what else to do except for trade it in, and I don't really want to do that because another zero turn is still pretty heavy. I'm only saving 200-300 pounds. Any suggestions on what I should do about cutting my yard when it's so wet? Thank you, by the way, for all that you do.
Okay, Hector, this is a great question, and it's actually one that I get in some way, shape, or fashion quite often. And I think it's because, I hammer on the idea of mowing correctly, and that if you mow the right way, that is the single best thing you can do for the lawn, is to mow it properly. And when I say mow it properly, is to follow the 1/3 rule. And that's what Hector's getting at here, is he's saying, Alan, with all this rain, and he's saying, look, I know a lot of people say there's a lot of rain, but we really have a lot of rain. And again, the farm reports that I've been reading definitely confirm that. Too much rain this year. Things are soggy. Farm fields are soggy. People can't get their corn in the ground. All kinds of challenges. And he's facing that with his crop and his lawn. And so the question is, what do? I don't want to break that 1/3 rule. Or he's also saying I don't want to leave ruts in the lawn. And Hector, this is where you're finding that I say lawn care is a weather-driven business. Let's take it away from you and your one single lawn, which is 1 acre, which is bigger than 99% of the people listening here, and it's bigger than my lawn, so it's more to deal with. But let's look at lawn professionals. What do you think about lawn professionals in College Station, Texas, that have big zero turns and big ride-on mowers and things like that? And they actually have to go out and perform service for customers on these lawns. They have to decide, do I cut and make my money and deal with some ruts and some mud, or what do I do? What can I do? Because the thing about the lawn professional is if he skips this week and does the right thing because he doesn't want to leave ruts and he doesn't want to leave mud marks and all that kind of stuff in the lawn, and he comes back next week, he has a double whammy because not only does he not get paid for the week he had to skip, but the next week he comes in, he doesn't get double pay, but he has to do double the work because the lawn is double the growth, right? He's going to have to double cut, maybe triple cut. There's probably a lot more cleanup. Maybe the weed whacking takes longer. The edging definitely would take longer, especially if you have St. Augustine grass, because the St. Augustine will creep out further. There is a lot more work that he has to do. So this is a double whammy for the pros, but you know what they do? They have to weigh out the give and the take and do the best that they can. And as always, they have to hope for the best. Now with us, thank God, we only have to deal with one lawn. We only have to deal with one property. Now yours, Hector, is a lot bigger than most. You're in an acre, so you have a lot more to deal with than most people, but it's still only that one single lawn. So my first piece of advice to you would be, maybe you want to go and invest in a walk-behind mower. A 30-inch, like a Toro Time Master is what I can use, but there's other ones that are on the market there. A 30-inch mower is not ideal for an acre, but it's also not going to weigh nearly as much as your $12,000 zero turn. It's only $1,000 extra investment, and you probably won't have to mow the entire lawn with it. So use that Time Master or 30-inch mower, walk behind. That's not going to cost as much. That's not going to be as heavy. That's not going to leave ruts. It's not going to leave as much mud. And you use that in the worst spots, and then use your zero turn or your rider or whatever you have there. You use that in the areas that you feel more comfortable getting on. And if you can't get it on any areas, then you'll have to use the Time Master to get you through this tough part of the season. Now, the other thing is the 1/3 rule. You're going to end up breaking the 1/3 rule no matter what you do. And let me define the 1/3 rule to everybody. The 1/3 rule when it comes to mowing is you never want to remove more than 1/3 of the grass blade's length in a single mowing. What that means is during the growing season, you may have to mow every 3 or 4 days, because the more you mow, the healthier your lawn will grow. And if you're cutting off a lot of that leaf blade surface, it's growing up to receive the sun. And if you're constantly cutting that off, it's like whacking it off at the knees, and it's not healthy for it. Now, here's the deal. When you got a ton of rain like this, you're going to have to break the 1/3 rule, and you might have to break it for a month straight. You might have to go even 6 weeks where you mow every 2 weeks, which is just terrible. The thought of that is horrible. But what else are you going to do? You don't have a choice. And this is why I say we work in a weather-driven business. If this was computers, we could just run some simple tests on the code. We could troubleshoot. We have a checklist of what we do. When this does this, if this, then that, do this, then that. And you can fix things because you're in a controlled environment. But we're not like that with lawns. We are in a curveball type environment. Mother Nature can always throw unknowns at you anytime, and you have to be willing to adapt to that, and you're going to have to be willing to compromise, and you're going to have to be willing to break rules in order to get through those times when Mother Nature is throwing things at you that are unexpected, that you're not used to dealing with, that make you go against what you know is right. And in this case, you may have to only be able to mow the lawn every 2 weeks, and you may have to invest in that walk behind so that you don't leave ruts. You're going to break that 1/3 rule. Definitely, if you're letting it go every 2 weeks, picking your spots, you're going to be really harming the grass. The thing is you're not going to make a habit of that. It's okay to go through a tough time with the lawn. It's okay to break the rules because you have to. It's okay to hurt it for a little. It's almost like disciplining your children, right? It hurts to discipline your children. They will cry. They won't like it, but it's better for them in the future. It's better for them going down the road. The same thing with the lawn. Let it grow. You don't want to get out there and mow in the rain if you can help it, but sometimes you're going to have to. You're going to have to let it overgrow. You're going to have to go and scalp it because you got to get through this period of unknown when Mother Nature's taking control. But things are going to level off. Things are going to get back to normal, and that's when you can get back into that every day or every 3 or 4 day mow and get things back healthy. So those are the things that I would recommend you do is number 1, Hector, consider getting a lighter mower, a walk behind, not ideal for an acre, but you only have to suck it up for maybe a month or so until things dry up. And then secondly, realize that breaking rules and going against the 1/3 rule, when Mother Nature forces it, it's okay. It's just part of life. It's part of having a relationship with your lawn. It's part of learning your land and knowing how it responds and knowing that later on, whatever you've done to harm it or whatever you've had to do to harm it because nature forced it, you'll be able to rectify that going forward because you're going to give it the best care. Think about all the people out there that don't care for the lawns, where those lawn professionals have had to get out and leave those mud marks or leave those ruts, or they've had to, cut when they didn't want to. If there's no one at home helping that professional out, if there's no one there, caring for that lawn to bring it back, that's when lawns start to go south, is when the homeowners neglect and they just want to send the lawn off to daycare every single day, 12 hours a day. Oh, I'll just let the professional handle it, even though he's only here once a week if he's a lawn cutter. Or if they have someone treating the lawn like a True Green Chem lawn, they're only there once every 6 weeks. Well, I'll just leave it off to them. I'll just let the lawn be left in their hands, even though they're only here once every 6 weeks. No, you're a DIYer. You're somebody that cares about it. You're somebody that knows your land. You're actually asking this question, which means you really care about it. So that even though you're going to go through this rough point and you're going to have to abuse the lawn a little bit, it's going to hurt. You have to damage it, not abuse it, because I just used an analogy with your kids, so we don't want to use the word abuse in there at the same time. But you're going to have to be hard on the lawn, right? That's going to have to happen for a season or a period, but you're going to come out of that season and things are going to get better and you're going to be there to bring it back along. And by the way, the lawn will be stronger in the long run for it.